The police are on their way. I remember when I actually believed that. My name is Derek Fisher and I'm in the 7th grade and I'm currently holed up in the science and computer room of White Lake Middle School alongside a dozen of my friends. This started yesterday, when our principal, Mrs. Whitley, had all grades meet in the cafeteria and watch a video about gun safety. I've never considered firearms to be scary. My dad was a cop and showed me how to shoot when I was just 6 years old. But seeing that video highlight some of the senseless violence that happened in schools across our country in just the past few years, it was a wake-up call. The procedure itself was meant to be quite simple and involved only a few steps. The teacher would announce that 2 students needed to barricade the door to whatever classroom they were currently in using a door nook. All students were to either hide under their desk, move to a secure area, or attempt to call for help. If computer services are available, use them to inform security of your current location or to contact the local authorities. Stay in shelter until the security detail has given the all clear. Everyone agreed that we would get started on the next afternoon during 3rd period. When the drill started, everything began smoothly enough. We were told by our English teacher, Mr. Preston, to head to the 2nd floor lounge and wait for further instructions. Me and my best friend Bailey were given the chance to put the barricade in place and guard the door. The way it works is that only someone with a key could take the lock off the door, similar to the kind they use for cars. Mr. Preston was the only one who had it and would be the only one to decide who left and who stayed. We also decided to enact a scenario where a student might be in the bathroom when the drill started, so we took that into account and sent Bev Shriver to wait there. The plan was we could count down 3 minutes and then send someone to find Bev. In the scenario that we acted out, if the person sent out took longer than 4 minutes, they would be considered dead. And then after about 15 minutes or so, Whitley would let out a loud, shrill noise blast across the PA system to announce that the drill was over. As you might have already guessed, something entirely different occurred. Thinking about it now, those initial steps all seemed to fall into place perfectly. We made it to the lounge and sent Bev to the restroom on the 1st floor, and Mr. Preston locked all the doors and we told security that we had shelter in place. I remember a couple 6th grade girls giggled as they were told to pick straws to devise who would go get Bev. Starting the clock now, Mr. Preston told the short blonde that had gotten chosen. I didn't really pay much attention, instead using those few minutes of calm to flirt with Alex Beaumont, an 8th grader that I've had a crush on all semester. "Where did they go?" Preston asked at last. Everyone knew that if the drill was failed, that he would likely make us do it again until we got it perfect, so much of us were sighing and complaining about the missing girls. "They probably ditched us to go have some real fun," Bailey sneered. A few others snickered, and even that the girls had gone to make out in the gym. "Wait here," our teacher ordered as he used the keys to get out of the lounge and then locked it back in place, as Bailey and I watched him wander down the hall to find the girls. "Well, great. Now what do we do if he doesn't come back?" Another student complained. "I think I know what I'll be doing," I teased as I copped a feel of Alex's left breast as she playfully swatted my hand away. A minute or so later, the loud klaxon went off, but he didn't come back. And frankly, none of us gave it a second thought. For the next couple of hours, we basically goofed off. A few of the kids drew or made paper airplanes. Others tried to surf the web on their phones, but the signal was abysmal. No one thought there was a problem. Not until we started hearing the screaming. "That sounds like Bev," one of the girls said as they peeked out the small window toward the empty hall. The screams echoed for almost 2 minutes as all of us crowded to get a peek. I wasn't buying it though. I thought it had to be some kind of prank. Sure enough, a few seconds later, Bev Shriver came bounding toward the door of the classroom, looking like a typical horror movie girl that was being chased by a monster. She frantically grabbed at the handle, begging for us to let her in. "Dude, calm down. Mr. Preston has the keys. What the hell has gotten into you anyway?" Bailey asked. She tried again and again to loosen the lock as she glanced back over her shoulder, where I saw the silhouette of someone at the end of the hall. "You have to let me in. If I don't, he's going to kill me," Bev shouted. "It's locked, girl. Quit the drama." "Who's trying to kill you?" I asked. "Preston. Oh God, he's here," she screamed as she pressed her back against the door. And then we heard a guttural shriek. "What the heck? Bev, this isn't funny anymore," Alex said as we tried to get a look, but Shriver was blocking our view. The sound of something rushing toward her echoed softly against the cold tile floor, as Bev screamed even louder, and then suddenly, her head slammed against the small window in the middle of the door, and all of us jolted backwards in surprise. A second later, our friend slowly slid down the side of the door, and we saw standing there our English teacher, with bits of Bev's face in between his teeth. "Mr. Preston?" Alex whispered as he made another low growl and pushed his body down toward the open wound of Bev's skull. We watched in horror as he began to devour her brains and rip out her spine like it was just a plaything. The entire class went into a panic. "Someone call 911, Bailey ordered. A few of us started trying to block the door even as Preston stood up and looked inside, staring at me eye to eye. Except that his pupils looked dilated as though he each had a double iris within. Another confirmation that, whatever this was, it wasn't our English teacher. "Help me with this," Alex said as we employed the refrigerator in the lounge and started to push it toward the door. Already, Preston was slamming his head against the glass, trying to break it apart to get inside. Meanwhile, the other students were searching for a possible exit to another part of the school. The lounge that we're in connects directly to a service stairwell, but none of us had keys to get the maintenance door open, so instead, they started to use a fire extinguisher to bash the handle in. "I don't think this is going to keep him held for very long," Alex said as we finished putting the fridge in place. Just as she had finished her sentence, Preston finally broke through the glass, his bloody hand reaching through the door to try and grab us. He managed to snag Bailey, and I screamed as he jerked my friend toward the small window. His head hit the shattered, jagged pieces of glass as Preston tried to pull her through the small opening. And then she grabbed some of the glass and slammed it against his arm, causing the teacher to let go of him, and he tumbled to the floor, gasping for breath. "Let's get out of here," someone said as they had finally managed to break the lock. I don't think any of us looked back. A flurry of questions echoed amongst our group as we headed towards the second floor. "What in the world happened to him? Where do we go? Did you call the cops?" Alex offered an answer for that last one. "They said that they're on their way and we need to find a place to hide," she said as we made it to one of the chemistry labs and pushed the door open. Another class was standing there, all of them frozen in fear as they formed a circle around someone lying on the floor. "Don't come any closer," a kid I knew named Ronnie ordered. "What the heck? It happened to your teacher too," Bailey said as he got a good look at who was writhing on the floor. They had managed to use some kind of concoction of chemicals as a weapon against whatever had taken hold of their teacher, and all of us watched in silence as she slowly melted from the burns. What was left didn't look human at all, just a gray husk that happened to share similar body parts. "Tell us how this happened," Alex said. Already, we were getting a few of the massive marble tables pushed against the door that we had gone through in case Preston found his way up here, as Ronnie explained the afternoon as it had transpired for them. So, like, Miss Bradley told us that we were gonna do that whole lockdown thing, you know. So we came in here and we put shelter in place, just like we were told. It was gonna last 15 minutes tops, and then she started acting funny. How? Bailey asked. Well, that loud noise went off and she said that it hurt her ears. Pacing the room, acting claustrophobic and itchy. And then she said that she had run to the restroom and told us to stay here until she got back. He turned toward the husk that was still gently convulsing on the floor and said, it was about an hour ago she came back and claimed that she got lost. Acted really shifty. We wouldn't let her in and she got mad. She began scratching at the glass and then she started spitting up this weird black slime. It killed Benjamin, a girl near the door said. I glanced over to see that the hallway was still open and I muttered, get away from there, we don't know what's out there. The girl cried softly as we closed the door back and I turned toward what remained of the teacher's body. It looked like she's missing all of her vital organs, like an empty shell. Alex said nervously as we walked around toward the edge of the room. I thought that I saw the corpse twitch. We need to get out of here, another kid said. Soon, arguments began. The police told us to stay. What if she comes back to life? What if one of us is infected? All right, that's enough, Bailey said as he finished cleaning his wounds. There's another teacher's lounge down the hall, probably about 100 feet. We can stay there until the police arrive, he suggested. Why don't we stay right here? We got all the doors blocked, Ronnie pointed out. Then we just saw our teacher bash his head through the glass to get in, so no. I would rather be somewhere with more protection. The lounge has food, blankets, and only one way in or out, without a window to break down. So I say we go there, Bailey answered. It took us another 5 minutes of debate before the decision was made for us. Preston, or some other ungodly monstrosity, was pushing against the maintenance door trying to get in, and Alex shouted, show us where the lounge is. It only took maybe 3 minutes to get to the lounge. 3 minutes and I lost both my best friend and the girl of my dreams. We ran as hard and as fast as we could, but somehow, the inhuman power that was inside Preston was better. I remember looking back when I heard Alex scream. Preston was blinding toward her the way that a tiger would. He was climbing on the lockers and even the ceiling, his fingers smashing into the metal like claws. I knew if I stopped, I would be dead too. Bailey tripped and fell and it was over for him. Another teacher came from around the corner, their entire body covered in wounds as though exposed to sunlight had caused their fake human skin to burn off, and snarled like the devil was inside them. I can't remember much except that we finally made it to the lounge and barricaded the door. Holy crap! Ronnie screamed as the adults attempted to get inside. What is going on? I think we all wanted the answer to that. It probably took a good half hour before my heart stopped pounding and I slumped to the floor, thinking of my 2 friends. This couldn't be happening. But over the next few hours we realized that it wasn't going to get any better. We tried to stay calm, but it was impossible. Still nothing from the police, Ronnie asked as he paced the room around 8th period. The final bell rang. This was when we were supposed to go home. Chances of that happening seemed slim now. The halls were quiet, but we didn't dare venture out to see where the adults had gone. They could be anywhere, waiting to trap us. This is crazy. I've checked Facebook and Instagram, Google. No one is reporting anything anywhere else. You would think it was an outbreak, there would be news, one kid said. I'm not getting anything from my phone, Ronnie remarked. Unless they're in on it too, another suggested. White Lake is a pretty small town though. I remember my dad told me once that everyone knew everyone, so I don't see how a secret as big as lizard people could be hidden, I commented. Maybe something triggered them, like that alarm that they used to start the lockdown. It was like a high-pitched squeal. I bet that it set them off. Ronnie replied. I remembered it and how he said that it hurt Miss Bradley's ears, but I didn't bother to contribute to the panic that was setting in. What mattered was staying alive and waiting for help. I think we were speculating to try and keep calm. Eventually, evening settled in and some of us took shifts. Others began to realize that maybe the police weren't coming after all. We need to make a run for it, one girl insisted. I haven't gotten anything from the cops or my parents in hours, another added. What if we're on our own? No one dared to consider it, but the thought had been lingering in all of our minds. The fact was, we didn't know anything about the world beyond our door. And if the cops weren't coming, then making a run for it made sense. Alright, fine. We draw straws then. 2 of us go out to check it, and the rest of us wait here, I said. Maybe we should have a plan B, in case things go south, Ronnie suggested. We came to an agreement that if we needed to move locations again, the science computer room would be the easiest place to go. And we decided it would be better if we all moved as a unit rather than just blindly running. We could survive longer working together. There's access to the internet. Maybe we can send an alert out on Facebook or Reddit. Tell other people what is happening, Ronnie added. We all agreed that it sounded like a good idea, even though none of us really knew for sure what the plan meant, except me, I think. Alex and Bailey's death had been on my mind for nearly half the night, and I knew that stepping back into the halls could mean more senseless death. But still, staying here seemed pointless if we couldn't contact anyone. The time came to move out and Ronnie took the lead, slowly removing the barricade, and I grabbed a fire extinguisher as a means of deterring the adults as we all slowly walked into the hall beyond. The long corridor was eerily quiet, save for the sound of our own footsteps, and as we moved toward the science room, our leader Ronnie kept checking his phone for any signal. Maybe we should try to make it for the front door, I suggested. It might be our only chance. Ronnie agreed. He took another step, but it was the last time that he ever did. Someone's hand zipped out of a locker and struck Ronnie, grabbing and pulling him into the metallic cage that they had been hiding in. I used the extinguisher to bash it against the teacher's head, desperate to save my friend. The adult snarled and tried to tug at him even harder as I pulled Ronnie from their grasp. Their nails snagging into his neck as me and several others managed to drag him to the computer room. We made it just barely before the teachers all scrambled like feral animals to get inside. "Block it! Block it!" someone screamed. I tried to keep Ronnie's head elevated to prevent blood loss, but it was clear that he was already beginning to choke on his own bodily fluids. I watched as the life drained from his eyes. That was about 4 or 5 hours ago. A few of us had managed to find charges for our phones inside the computer room, but none of us have heard from anyone about rescue. It's almost like our phones have been disconnected. I finally managed to activate one of the computers using an old 6th grade password, but the internet is limited. The only few websites available don't really help us much, but we've got to try something. I think it won't be long and the creatures that took over our campus are going to break in and finish us all off. Just please send help. And if help can't come, then send someone to blast us off the face of the earth. Because whatever this is, I don't want it to spread anywhere else. I just want to go home. But I'm not even sure home is still there anymore. I'm not sure anywhere is safe. I can hear them at the door. Won't be long. Please, I want to go home.